Nate, the news.
Yes.
I was so excited when this came down. I texted you immediately because I knew you were going to be on the show. Huge news in the NBA that has absolutely nothing to do with Anthony Davis. Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, and Trey Burke have been traded to the Dallas Mavericks for Dennis Smith Jr., DeAndre Jordan's contract, Wesley Matthews' contract, and 2 first-round picks. Amin, to people that don't follow the NBA as closely as you and I do, why would the Knicks trade a rookie deal potential all-NBA player like Kristaps Porzingis?
Couple of reasons, all right? Number one is if he's intimating that he's not happy with the direction of the team. Those are the reports that came out.
He did that.
He came into the office about, guys, I don't know what's going on here, and I'm not sure I want to be a part of this. It's not a trade request, but it's a, maybe I'll explore other options. And so as a team, you always do your due diligence. You know, hey, man, if we got to unload this, we got to unload it. We get some value back. There's 2 other reasons, though. One reason is, so the Supermax deal, the one that Anthony Davis has turned down, that DeMarcus Cousins missed out on because he got traded, that Paul George missed out on because he got traded, there's a small wrinkle in the CBA. If you get traded in your first 4 years, the new team that acquires you still has the ability to offer that. Now, obviously, we're talking about 4 or 5 years down the line from here. So that's the maximum value time is to trade Porzingis now, so the next team has an opportunity to pay him exorbitantly. But the third reason, Jacob, are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Are you ready for this, America? There's concerns about his medicals.
And
that
this is a new wrinkle.
Yes, and that there was concerns that do the Knicks want to pay a guy who 3 or 4 years from now could have severe issues, not just with the knee, but other body parts. If you remember a name named Brandon Roy, played for the Portland Trailblazers, was great All-NBA.
Great season.
Remember his rookie extension? They were hemming and hawing, and everyone's like, he's a max guy. Why are you hemming and hawing? Because they knew there was something wrong with him. And sure enough, he did not survive that second deal because he had medical issues with his knees.
So I'm a Die Easy Knicks fan.
Okay.
You know, I pick him up sometimes. I go to the Garden, bring my son, and a lot of my Knicks fan friends are upset about this trade. Porzingis, he was the future of the franchise. How do we trade Porzingis? The Knicks are so dumb. This is a great trade for the New York Knicks.
Yes.
You have an injury-prone, disgruntled star who's not going to stay with the franchise. He walked into the office and said, I'm not going to be here. My number's not going to be in those Raptors. I'm not a New York Knickerbocker. And then you trade him, you get 2 max spots for this season.
Come on, Jim.
And you get Dennis Smith Jr., who you should have had in the first place. It's perfect for the Knicks. Like, if you're a Knicks fan, you should be happy about this. You should be ecstatic about this.
Absolutely.
Now, here's the big question. Do you think a gentleman by the name of Rich Kleiman has been in contact with the front office of the New York Knickerbockers? Rich Kleiman represents Kevin Durant and his interests. Do you think there is some sort of wink, if you clear the spots, KD is coming type of conversation that's been had between KD and his representation and the New York Knicks front office?
Jacoby, are you insinuating that there's some untoward behavior going on behind the scenes?
Yes, I am.
Oh, no, never. Rich Kleiman would never, and the New York Knicks would never, ever dally in those waters right there.
Yes, they would, and they have.
But I'll tell you what, I think I said it on this show months ago. I know I said it on the Jump months ago. Kevin Durant's going to be wearing orange and blue.
You think so?
Oh, man.
Does this trade basically solidify Kevin Durant holding court on the court in Madison Square Garden? That would make me so happy.
It doesn't solidify it, but you know what it does? It gives them the opportunity to solidify it, which was not quite the case before. And that's the big thing. They got out of some bad deals there. By the way, here's the funny thing. They got out of a bad deal that they should have never given in the first place to Tim Hardaway
Jr.
They got a guy that they should have drafted in the first place, in Dennis Smith Jr.
Yes.
Right? And they
Courtney Lee was,
but the idea is that, you set yourself up. And by the way, the 2 first-round picks, lightly protected, top 10 picks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like those 2 first-round picks people aren't really talking about because they're just not in the here and now.
Yeah.
But those will come up, and at that time, they will not have a lot of cap space. I imagine they won't have a lot of cap space to acquire free agents, so they'll have some number 1 picks, which is something that the Knicks haven't had in quite some time. Well, they had KP and Frank Ntilikina.
But it's not. Yeah, it's nice to have multiple cracks at. That was the Sam Hinkie philosophy. It wasn't that we're going to get a star. It's the idea that let me get the most at-bats so that if I swing at everything, one of them is going to be a home run.
So front office insider Amin El-Hassan explained this to me. Kristaps Porzingis is going to, sign his qualifying offer?
So this is weird.
This is confusing.
You can't do, and my friends are like, oh, they're already negotiating. Like, it's non-negotiable, right? The number is based on how many games you started. Well, he's been hurt all year long, so already his cap hit is lower. That qualifying offer is lower. And he can't accept anything until July 1. So it doesn't make a difference what he says today. The Mavs have a whole half season to talk to him. And by the way, if you're Porzingis, why wouldn't you want to be paired with the boy wonder, Luka Doncic?
19 years old.
Oh my God.
Like this can swing so far in both directions for both franchises.
And by the way, also, you think if the Knicks had concerns about his medicals, his representation? You think they're going to go out there and say, hey, KP, yeah, I know no one's turned down a rookie max extension in the history of rookie max extensions.
Literally no one has.
But I think you, injury-prone beanpole, you should be the first.
You should be the one who does it.
You should be the trailblazer.
Yes.
Come on, man.
That does not seem like sound decision-making on his part. So if you are the Mavericks franchise, you're Rick Carlisle, you're Mark Cuban, you acquire KP, what is your plan?
I think your plan is to build around those two guys, and now the next step is to get, some help in the backcourt, obviously, because you've traded with Dennis Smith Jr. and JJ Barea is out for the year. I know we all like to think of Porzingis as a point forward or point guard, de facto point guard, but
he's not.
He can be on the offensive end, but somebody's got to guard somebody on the other end. And, Jalen Brunson, does that do it for you? He's a good player. I don't think he's a starter, though. He's like a nice backup. Mm-hmm. They've got to get some help in the backcourt now.
So I follow the Knicks pretty closely and KP pretty closely. And there were signs of this from a long time. Remember, he missed the exit interview.
Yes.
There's rumors about Phil Jackson trading him.
Yes.
Then there's the Instagram stuff.
The Clippers.
And there's the Instagram stuff also with Fizdale saying he's not ready to go. He can't run. And they post a picture of him running.
Passive aggressive.
We've seen we've seen the tea leaves of this happening early. And Steve Mills addressed KP and his attitude toward the franchise on a conference call last night. Let's listen.
Over time, it became clear to us that Kristaps was not completely on board with the plan that we had laid out. He is a great player, but this morning in a meeting, he confirmed that he no longer wanted to be a Knick. Given the uncertainty of going into free agency with a player who feels that way, we decided to make this trade. It's just a feeling you get as you're watching how frequently he comes to practices, how long he's around the gym, different things that he's doing. And we just started to get a feel that this might be moving in a different direction.
Couple things here. I love the old throw the guy under the bus on the way out.
Play.
I love that move.
I
love that move. I guess he doesn't want to play basketball. He's not down with the team. He's not a team player. There's also this. This is a smart move for the Knicks to move him if he doesn't want to stay. Sure, we all understand that. But is this a failure of the franchise to force him to feel that way? Like, are the Knicks at fault here because they made him feel that way? They
had a culture that made him feel like, man, I can't be a part of this.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. They take some blame there. Then again, it's not like what they're doing this year is without purpose, right? There's a big pot of gold down in Durham, North Carolina that everyone's hoping to get a chance to get at. And so if you're the Knicks, this was the strategy. Now, if Porzingis doesn't understand that or feels like, man, I've been through enough of that in my first 4 years, I don't want to keep on doing this, well, that's fair. But, sometimes the way to fix the mistakes of the past are to also be bad continuously. And that's what the Knicks, I don't feel like the Knicks came into the season like, we're going to be a playoff team. Like, oh my God, we're 10-40. No, they came into the season with the knowledge that they were going to be bad because at the end of the year, we're going to get a draft pick and hopefully we'll get Zion Williams.
Yeah, a top 3 pick would really help this Knicks franchise.
Absolutely.
Top 3 pick.
Absolutely. Think about that as a selling point to whatever max free agents out there. We got Zion. By the way, Dennis Smith Jr., we haven't talked about him at all. This guy's a really good pickup, I think. I think in Dallas, him and Carlisle, it just soured. And you know how Rick is. He soured with Rondo, and people said Rondo was washed, and we see Rondo is still a really good player.
If you watch the ends of Dallas Mavericks games, they treat Doncic like James Harden. They just give him the ball, get out of the way, and he creates. And if you're Dennis Smith Jr., you're like, this is different. This is different than last year.
I don't even think that's the issue, the idea that Doncic gets shine or whatever. I think the issue was when Dennis makes a mistake, Carlisle holds him accountable like he ended civilization. I'm talking about a simple turnover or a missed shot here and there, and kind of with a quick hook. that obviously, when compared to what Luka was getting, that's the part. It's not that, hey, why does Luka get this? It's like, why am I getting this kind of treatment? You know, it's not about having the ball in my hands all the time. It's just about, can I go out there and play basketball without looking over my shoulder all the time?
Of course.
Is coach disapproving of this or that or the other? And so he's going to come here, and I think he's going to have a wonderful start. I think Fizz knows how to connect with a guy like that in a way that Carlisle didn't.
Yep.
And I think they're going to get the best out of Dennis Smith.
There is so much to this. And one thing that we're going to get into is Kyrie Irving's involvement in this. Because somehow, some way, Kyrie Irving is in the middle of all this. Kevin Durant's in the middle of all this. Kemba Walker's in the middle of all this. There's going to be so much fun and excitement in MSG, not just next year, but this year because of the anticipation. But right now, it's time for News That Matters.
Oh, yeah.